What's going on, guys? It is Madman Plant. We are here at NECANN, Syracuse, New York, 2024. This is my very first podcast of the day, which I'm really excited because once you do the first one, it seems like the thousands of other ones come right behind it. And I'm really excited because we got Beatrice Stien of Hospitality Pathways, and she's leading the way for cannabis and hospitality. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. You're actually one of the speakers today.
I am. Yes.
So let's talk about why you're speaking and hospitality and cannabis. What is it?
Sure. So I come from the hospitality industry. I'm kind of new to cannabis. I started my career in hospitality, and during COVID, I had a nonprofit. I have a nonprofit that's training people for jobs in restaurants. And during COVID, obviously no restaurants, no hospitality going on, and recreational cannabis became legalized. And so I said, okay, let me look into cannabis. And I realized that the same skill set that you have to be an excellent server or bartender in a restaurant is the same skill set you need to be successful in retail cannabis. So I pivoted my program from restaurant hospitality to cannabis hospitality. And so we train people for jobs. We train people who are unemployed or underemployed, economically marginalized, for jobs in retail cannabis. It's a 4-week program. They learn about cannabis knowledge from seed to sale. They learn about being a responsible vendor, carding, regulations, all that kind of stuff. And then I teach them on hospitality. So they're learning how to take the knowledge that they have about cannabis and how to have really impactful interactions with every guest. So how do you make that connection with every guest so that they want to come back and want to keep coming to your dispensary because they have a great experience? Because let's be real, the products are the same in every store. So how do you differentiate yourself? It's the hospitality that makes the difference. And then we help them with getting jobs. We don't guarantee jobs, but we help them get jobs. And we take them on tours of farms and dispensaries in the 5 boroughs. We're focused right now in the 5 boroughs, but love to be expanding upstate if we can. Obviously, we're a nonprofit, so it's always about money. Everything's about money, but with nonprofits, it's really about money. So that's what I do. What's unique about our program is that it's no cost to the student. We actually pay them to learn. So we pay them a $200 a week stipend. So it's $800 over 4 weeks. We give them a weekly unlimited Metro card so they have no stress about how to get to and from class. And then we also give them a meal every day. So we're total social equity. We believe it's one thing to say social equity. It's another thing to give people the tools that they need. So that's me. That's our program. That's, kind of what I do.
I love that because one of the biggest things that we try to do is break the stigma of cannabis, show that it does have a place. And then, to bounce off a couple of topics that you mentioned, it's really great that you're focused on the hospitality. Mm-hmm. I believe that experience and relationships are everything for any type of business, whether it's cannabis or whether it's blue or white collar. And the fact that training people in some of these dispensaries, when you go to dispensaries, we've been on a 15-state, 12-month tour. Mm-hmm. We've been to a lot of dispensaries this year. And when you go in there, you almost going to get disheartened a little bit because nobody knows about the product. Nobody really knows how to treat a customer. And here you are. Yes, it's weed. And yes, weed sells itself. But there is a way to generate revenue through bedside manners, if you will, and offering that hospitality to somebody that maybe this is their first time going. And we can really set a great example of what that should look like. When you go to the dispensaries in Vegas, some of them, you think you're walking into a jewelry store, and there's a reason for that. It creates a clean, professional image. Mm-hmm. Not just this behind the counter type thing. Right. It's in showcases. It's nice. And I really believe that's important. Now, where does your passion come from this? Where did you learn to care so much about this and kind of find that niche?
It's interesting. I was born and raised in the hospitality industry. My parents, when I was 3 years old, bought a hot dog stand and named it after me. It was called Little Bee's Drive-In. And it kind of sealed my fate in restaurants for the rest of my life. I worked in restaurants my whole life. Not in the kitchen. You do not want me to cook for you. That's not my area of expertise. I am the front of the house person and operations kind of person. So I worked as a host, a runner, a busser, a server, bartender, all those positions. I moved into management. From management, I moved into training and development. From training and development, I moved into consulting. Consulting then brought me to starting the nonprofit.
Yep.
So it's just been hospitality has been my career path my whole life. I did when I was younger want to be a Broadway star. I was a singer and a dancer and an actress, but I ended up working as a waitress on Broadway and not in a Broadway show. So I kind of stuck with the restaurant industry, but pretty much hospitality's been my whole life. And this is a great pivot for me. It's really been interesting to, after being in restaurants and hotels my whole life, to now flip to cannabis. Really exciting. People are so wonderful, and it's such a new industry, and it's so open. It's so open for fresh and new ideas, and for opportunities. And so I love the combination of hospitality and cannabis. So that's kind of how I got here. Kind of, never thought at my age, who I am, my career path, that I would ever be in cannabis. My friends all think this is like the most bizarre thing I've ever done. But I love it. I'm so excited.
And I think that's a great thing because it shows the diversity of this community. Whether you're 18 years old and you just started swinging for the first time, or you're 76 years old, like one of our friends is, and she's a gardener. She has her own little 2x2. It just, that's sort of the thing is, it's like, and that's why with breaking the stigma is so important. You have this vision of who a stoner is, or somebody that uses cannabis. But when you come here and you look around, you have so much diversity of people. Half these people don't even look like they maybe would smoke cannabis if you met them on the outside.
Right. You would never know, right?
Exactly. And I also like how you've redefined your own market and your own expertise. I think one of the biggest things is reinvention and saying that, wow, I have all this level of expertise with hospitality, management. I've worked all these different positions. I see a way that I could apply this to another industry and make a career out of that, and maybe be a pioneer in that. And you see that here. We had at the last NECANN in Michigan we were just at, they had a whole shredder machines that are designed for composting, and they're, you would think that, well, this would be great for like a home and lawn show,
right?
But they're at the cannabis because they're selling it to dispensaries, grow ops,
right,
to reuse their stocks and stuff for compost. So
it's perfect.
You see so many things come in. Now, is this your first time speaking at a NECANN, or?
Yes, it is my first time attending a NECANN and speaking in a NECANN, so I'm very excited.
Talk more to the mic.
Sorry. So I'm very excited about that. It's my first time.
Now,
I flew up this morning. Yeah.
Oh, this morning? Where were you flying from?
From New York. I'm from Manhattan.
Oh,
sorry. I have to be careful because I'm in New York, but it's like I came from Manhattan.
Wow, it's really that different. When you leave the city, exactly. It's a different land out there.
It is. It's beautiful.
When we were driving up 81, we drove up here from Virginia.
Huh?
And when I took 81, I was like, wow, this reminds me of like deep Virginia, the rolling hills and mountains and valleys and little businesses and old towns and everything.
I was in the cab from the airport. I was like, oh, look at the fall foliage. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I get out of the city. I can, see life in trees.
Yeah, green stuff.
Green stuff. It's very exciting.
So with that being said, how do you see this impacting your career in cannabis moving forward after being at an event like this? And then are you attending more events like cannabis themed?
Yes, I would like to. I would really like to speak more often about this because I think it's really important. And I think, I come from the hospitality industry, so it's very ingrained in our culture about hospitality and guest customer service. But I don't think, just like you said, going to dispensaries, I don't think that's in the culture. That's not normal for them. But it's so impactful to their bottom line. The bud tenders make or break your business. They have the power to create sales, and they have power to destroy your sales.
Yes.
And so if you don't understand hospitality and what that means, you're missing out on a huge opportunity in your business that you worked hard to get that license to get there.
Yeah.
You need to understand hospitality. So I'd like to be able to spread this more. I know that our students, when they get in the workplace, are highly successful. They're the highest sellers and the most requested bud tenders. And they're also moving up into supervisory roles, brand rep roles, because they're so far ahead of everybody else. And so I think everybody could benefit from this blending of hospitality and retail cannabis. I think it's good for the dispensary. It's good for the employees. It's good for the consumer. Like, wouldn't you love an educated, like, bud tender talking to you about, like, onset duration, different types of products, the ECS system, terpenes, cannabinoids? Wouldn't you love to have that conversation with
Well,
someone?
I would, because, being on the road, you realize how many people are selling weed that really don't know anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And you're asking questions, lineage, where it came from, who makes it.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. It's whatever, so absolutely, and as somebody that's on travel, that would make me feel more comfortable, because, I take a pride in the sense as a home grower,
Right.
knowing where it came from, knowing what's in it, knowing that I'm going to get the desired effects that I'm looking for. And sometimes it's a gamble when you go into these places. Some of them are like a hole in the wall. Some of them are very nice and professional, look like jewelry stores.
Right.
So no, I definitely would like that. And I think also too is we're talking about revenue and way to, normalize this. Not everybody's a home grower. So there are going to be people who do rely on dispensaries, who, older generations, people that do not want the hassle. Because unless you love growing, it can be a pain in the ass, sometimes,
Everything can be a pain in the ass, depending, like, at some point there's good parts and bad parts of my job. So,
That is
like, just
true.
like anything else. I think, what I talk about with my students, and on a first day, I say, street weed, and the difference between what and what I'm going to teach you is cannabis is rooted in science.
Yes.
And so what is street weed, which is great. It gives you already a start because you're a consumer and you understand, right? But what we're going to talk about here is the science of cannabis and how to educate you, how to elevate your education. So I think, that's important.
No, I think it's 100% important. What I want to do is, we're at our mark here.
Okay.
They're 10-minute episodes. I'd love to get you on my 2-hour format. It's a virtual call, so you can do it from the privacy of your own home or wherever you are. And I'd love to dive in more into this, because for me, it's all about connecting the professional world to the home gardener. And because that's what we need. We need to understand that we're all fighting the same battles, and that together we can unite. But, other people need to realize too, I think, is we all have our specific purposes, whether you grow weed, whether you're a business here on the floor, whether you just smoke, like gummies, whatever.
Right.
We're all part of that initiative, and we all matter. So I think it's awesome what you're doing. And I want to thank you for, taking the initiative to really seek out an avenue in the industry and really try to attack that. Because the front line for dispensaries, because they already get bad raps. And I'm not pro dispensaries. I like to look at the dispensary first. Some of them grow their own cannabis, really understand their product and have value. Some of them just import, and, it's trash. Like when you go to Vegas, I'm sorry, but it is a disappointment sometimes, especially and for anybody out there, any weed that's on the strip is not real weed. Just so you know, you have to go off the strip because they don't allow real cannabis on the strip.
Oh, got it.
So anything that's on the strip is usually a THCA or some knockoff version.
Got it.
But no, thank you for being here.
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for having me. This was such a pleasure.
Yeah, no, I think
quite a surprise and pleasure.
Yeah, and the first person I got on the podcast was the speaker. I mean, I got pretty lucky, huh?
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Beatrice, we're going to see you very soon.
Yes.
Where can people find and support you if they want to know more or even get part of your program?
Sure. Hospitalitypathways.org is our website, and you can sign up for our newsletter. You can see all the information about our program. And then also follow us at Hospitality Pathways on like Instagram and Facebook. That's where we announce future classes. We usually post it up. We first do our local partners that are nonprofits that are helping their communities, and then we put it up on our social media, and then you can it tells you how to apply. So if you're interested in applying, if you're a dispensary owner and looking for staff in Manhattan or the 5 boroughs, reach out to me. We always have bud tenders looking for work, so it's all good.
Awesome. Well, guys, we got more episodes coming your way here in NECANN. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. Have a great one, everybody. These will be live throughout the day, so you can go to YouTube right now and watch this very episode right now.